Ensighten is a San Francisco-based software as a service company that was founded in 2009 by an analytical consultant that really had problems deploying tags on pages, and in particular analytical pages, and thought of a better way to insulate themselves from release cycles, from IT deployments, and really try to gain agility in what they were trying to do, deploying tags on pages, enabling marketing campaigns. So he set up Ensighten in 2009, and since then we've really evolved to around 290 people worldwide with offices in the US, in Europe, based headquartered in London, Germany, Spain, Netherlands, and we also have offices in Australia, in Sydney. We're around 350 enterprise customers. We work with the likes of Alma Media, for example, here in Finland. So next slide, please. So marketing performance. What is marketing performance about, really, today? It's about being able to be innovative as marketeers, as media owners, as people that are trying to enable a better customer journey for your customers. You have an array of technologies out there to use for personalization, for retargeting, for audience management, for capturing new customers, for retargeting and retaining them. This is the Luma landscape, and from here you can see the number of technologies that are put at your disposal to use on a daily basis. So, you can choose to do the same every day, or you can choose to test some of those innovative technologies that are launched out there. A maximizer for personalization and Optimizely, for example. But every time you want to deploy one of those technologies, you need to deploy a tag. And every time you want to deploy a tag, you need either to talk to IT, you need to get through a release cycle, and this takes time. And this hinders your ability to go to market and test those new campaigns, those new channels that you might want to use. And the complexity, the data that these tags are consuming, it's ever more and more. So in a way, marketeers are hostages to the IT cycles and the lack of agility to deploy some of those new technologies and therefore be innovative in their marketing programs. Next slide. Furthermore, what we see as well is the complexity of the customer experience is only increasing, and that customer experience spans across different tablets, mobile channels. All of us, and not just different devices like the mobile and the tablet and the desktop, but also, you might start in the morning searching at home, you send a link to your wife or husband at lunchtime, and then they log into a tablet, and then you purchase at home in the evening. So how do we piece that customer journey? How do we understand who is buying? Is it a family buy? Is it an individual buy? How do we start understanding that journey so we can customize and personalize the customer journey? Those are really the big questions that marketeers are asking themselves. So if I go to the next slide, please. So really driving marketing performance for us is first of all trying to address those challenges around the enterprise data that is underpinning all these activities. So the data might be missing because it's just siloed. It might be inaccurate. I think this is one person, but it's actually another person that has logged into this account, or I'm not capturing the right type of data because the page loads are too slow, and it's not integrated. And then on the other hand, our hindrance in deploying some of the marketing programs that we want to deploy are today under IT control, and we can't really take them to market in a fashionable time. Does any of these resonate with some of the challenges that you have today? Okay, so I'm trying to keep it at a high level, And really what I want to do now is go to the next level of our vision and how we propose and how we are solving some of those challenges today in the marketplace. So this is our approach, and Peter later will really go deeper into how you go about implementing such a program together. But this is really our approach to improving marketing performance in customer omni-channel world. First, the foundation, we believe, is always the data. It's really getting access to that data in the enterprise. The customer data, the product data, the vendor data, so breaking all those silos. And this is really the foundation of the tag management system. The tag management system is based on what we call a data layer. So this is a word that you will hear a lot, and it's becoming an industry standard. So data layer, collect all your data that you already have in a CRM system, collect your online data that is happening in the browser, collect your off-site data that is happening in a media campaign that you're running on a newspaper. Collect all of this data because it is your data, you've paid for it. The second piece is really about integration and integrating that data. So this is really when I look at cross-device, people using different devices, and I need to bring this data together and somehow match it so it stacks up, and I know actually who this data belongs to, and I can start building a better insight into this information. The second piece is when I have data, I need to start moving more into what we call customer intelligence. And this is when I go from pure data to profile, to segmentation, to audiences. And it's starting to derive some sort of knowledge about what is happening into my customer segments and what is happening not just with data points, but trying to understand how I can turn data into an insight. When I have that insight, I put that data back into action. I start personalizing the experience. I start providing value-added services, products, recommendations, one-to-one experiences to my customers, to those segments that I have identified in the decision layer. And finally, the last layer, if you want, is very much about measuring. It's about understanding from those activities that I have put in place with my customers, with my segments, what is working. And it's about understanding what is working in a way where we are able to measure, I would say, beyond the last click. Very much today we're measuring things on a last click basis. Attribution and measurement, our proposal is very much to go beyond that last click measurement, understanding the entire path to conversion, and be able to give credit where credit is due. So this is the overall picture, and I will break it down just in a couple of slides. I'm not going to, it's Friday morning, I'm not going to bore you with hundreds of slides, but I will just break each one of those components next, and then we will walk into a demo just to give you a bit of a flavor and an idea of what we're talking about. So the data layer, I think this is the step number one. And this is where the tag management comes into place to really enable the data collection aspect. What is the data layer? At the moment, when you have a tag on your website, the tag requires, for example, 3 data points. Let's say product ID that you need to pass to a retargeter, conversion ID, and customer ID. So you integrate on a point-to-point basis for that particular tag on your website. What we're proposing, and the standard really in the industry now, is to create a data layer that avoids point-to-point integrations of data in your website with technologies, and it's an abstraction layer that really is capturing all this data in one single place, and then is feeding this data everywhere in the enterprise. So no more point-to-point integration. Is really about consolidation of your data. And we provide solutions that make that consolidation scalable and enriches the data that you already have. So a data layer excuse me, is fed with data from your browser, such as browse type, operating system, from your cookies. Is this someone that returned, is a new customer? From your HTML objects, Also, we can start feeding data from off-site and third-party. So we can bring data from your CRM system, from your ERP system, from your publishing system, into the browser to activate it at that point in the interaction, and other calculated attributes. So this is very important in terms of understanding all the data that you can leverage in real time for an interaction. And we will be demoing this today. Next slide. So then I mentioned data is great, but who does it belong to, and how can I know how to put this data into action? So the integration layer is about bringing other data sets into the picture, and also about making sense of that data layer. So we talked about off-site data, and I want to spend a couple of minutes really to explain this, because it's a big differentiator of what we do at Ensighten for our customers. At the moment, you're buying media. Anyone buys media here in terms of, for example, campaigns, display campaigns, is responsible for these type of campaigns here? Media owners? Okay, so but you understand the concept of you work with someone that is buying media, correct? Okay. So let's say you're buying media, you're buying Creatures, a retargeting company, or you're buying the display from, let's say, for example, Google DoubleClick, for example, and you're buying a segment. Please target customers that are between 20 to 30, they're female, and they like travel. You're buying that for an acquisition campaign on Google DoubleClick. What we do, you're paying for that segment. The more targeted that segment is, the more you pay, the more money for that particular acquisition. Then they deliver, Criteo DoubleClick delivers an ad here, and it's targeted to a travel person on that website, and that person might come back to your website, and you've acquired that new customer through a display activity. But you don't know, you just know that that person came through a DoubleClick campaign, but you've lost all the information about the targeting, the segment you bought. That is owned by DoubleClick. And this is very valuable information that you paid for, correct? Because you paid for that segmentation. What we're doing in terms of bringing off-site data into the browser is we are putting a cookie as well here in your display activity with DoubleClick. Next click, please. Which is a first-party cookie that when you are presenting that ad to that user on the paper, on the travel section, we are capturing that segment